Davis, and I'm.
Try that again. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
My name's Hubert Davis, and I'm directing a short film called Aruba here in Regent Park.
Okay, can you tell us maybe just what it's about roughly?
Aruba is a short film about a 12-year-old boy who grows up in a housing project, and he basically gets bullied at school as well as witnesses domestic violence at home, able to escape the circumstances they're in and the things that they do through their imagination to survive and ultimately become better. So that's what I was always interested in, and this was just seemed like a good story to be able to tell that.
Growing up in a...
Able to escape the circumstances they're in and the things that they do through their imagination to survive and ultimately become better. So that's what I was always interested in, and this was just seemed like a good story to be able to tell that.
Growing up in a single mother environment, how much did you borrow from your real life versus like with your friends? Like how much of this is a story and how much of it is really...
Well, there's a lot of it obviously is to make it dramatic. I've added in a lot of elements that I didn't go through personally,
yeah.
But it's more, I think, the feeling of it and the feeling of the main character and that kid being that kind of nappy-haired little boy with the that mom, that single mom who's out there. That's kind of like where I drew inspiration. Because there's a lot of kids in that situation with single moms, and I always just felt like I'm really interested in telling stories that aren't in the mainstream a lot of times, and I think that's a real challenge to do that, but it's very, very rewarding when you do break through and are able to tell a story that people can connect with. So I'm just hoping that people can connect with this.
What significance would you think for people to connect that you filmed it actually in a housing project that happens to be Canada's largest housing project? Did you know of this area at all, or?
Well, I knew of Regent Park when I moved to Toronto in '99. I had heard about it, and but I had never shot here, and I just thought it was would give the whole thing a real sense of authenticity to be in that same environment and for everyone to kind of feel that vibe that was going on here. It's been great. It's been a great kind of environment to shoot in, just for locations and the look of it, and the apartment has all been fantastic to shoot in. But I imagine it's a real struggle for a lot of people living here, and there's a lot of good people who are obviously doing good things and trying to get out of this situation. So.
Right.
I just actually finished something, this other commercial for Pathways, which basically is an organization that gets kids who are in this area into high school, onto post-secondary. It's just like blown away by that, but that it doesn't matter where you're from or where you're living,
yeah.
That you are able to basically get out in the world and compete with everyone else. So I think that's important. I think it's important for kids in areas like this to realize that it doesn't matter where you're from. Like, you can have any dreams just as big as anyone else's, and you have the possibility to do anything. And I think that's what I was hoping to kind of get across in the film.
Would there have been any difficulties to even cast kids from the area, or do you think that's something maybe they'll look at for people in the future?
I hope so. I'd love to shoot more stuff here and in different. We shot some exterior stuff in St. Jamestown, and for this next documentary I'm working on, I'm trying to get kids in this area as well as St. Jamestown. So I'm looking for kids like that in that area who are real and who are able to tell their stories, because I think that's a key thing that we need to do, is tell stories so there's not just misconception. Just because it's more interesting, and it's fun, and you kind of enjoy all the new challenges.
Okay. With the NFB getting involved with Hardwood, how hard was it for you to get your film made? Did you feel the climate in Canada?
It's called The Invisible City, and it's about racial profiling, but how we all kind of profile, but it's about through a young kid's perspective as well as a young cop's perspective. So those kind of two sides of the coin.
Definitely.
And seeing how that works out.
Well, that should be good. Are your projects keeping you busy? Like, I was talking to you briefly about your Oscar pressure.
Right.
Do you put that in the back of your mind? Like, well, that was good for that.
Right.
But I mean, do you think that's it for you? Because some people reach their pinnacle.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you try and put it out of your mind, but it kind of other people have expectations that come up with it. But it's not. It's a great thing for me because I think it gets your foot in the door and allows people to listen to your pitches and hopefully get a chance to do more projects. Just doing the short film, I think, was mostly based on the success of Hardwood. So, you gotta, the pressure is part of it, but I'm taking the good with the bad, and it's more good than bad. So I'll just keep rolling with it.
Now, is this your first short by itself?
This is my first short dramatic film.
Okay. Now, how is that? How are you making the transition a bit from documentary to short film?
Well, they're very, very different, and I find it's for drama, it's so much more front heavy as far as that work that you're doing, the casting, the tweaking of the script. That work is so much more ahead of time. Whereas in documentary, it's really a lot of shooting, and in that editing process is really while you're writing the story. So it's the reverse of that. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying working with actors, and it's very nice, obviously, to get your words spoken by some great actors, and I got a great DOP, just a great group of people.
Can you mention some of the people you're working with on this set?
Yeah, David Tennant is the DOP. He worked on me with Hardwood. Sam McLaren is my producer, and there's just been, we've got a great just crew out of people who work really hard in pretty hot conditions in there, no air conditioning, and just, really, really working hard. And then just our cast, it's a bunch of Canadian actors who are phenomenal. Okay. So just trying to do that as well, kind of represent,
Okay. I know you're trying to push working with more minority actors. How important is that for you?
It is. It's important. In this script, it was more about the lead, who's mixed. Like that's who he's the star of it. He carries the whole thing, and then a lot of his schoolmates, like classmates, where we're going to shoot right now. I wanted to be a lot of diverse faces because I think that's really what Canada is about now. That next generation is like kids from all over. But a little bit heightened, so it's not like a documentary in that just real language. It's a little bit more,
Cool. So, and also when you're selecting to work with your DOP and everything, how important is it to you to repeat working with the same people?
It gets you through a certain shorthand, so it's quicker, and I really trust David Tennant, my DOP, because he's able to find things quickly, and his just sense of where to put the camera. We just share that same kind of sensibility, so it just helps me in kind of doing that other stuff. And his
transition's okay, going from, because some people are specialty
right,
in certain
for
areas.
One, he's actually a director. Like, he directs commercials, he's directed documentaries, so he's pretty versatile, and that's what I'm hoping to get, is versatility, to be able to bounce between documentary and drama and kind of do a lot of different stuff.
Did that make it a little difficult? Like, how hard did you
for this film?
For Hardwood.
Hardwood was very tough. It took 3 years to come up with the financing and all the places that I ended up getting. And they were telling me something that there's this like new statistic that it's basically like their dropout rate in Regent Park in high school is less than anywhere else, like in Canada or something like that. And out as much. I think this film is different because it's not trying to really tell so much the reality. It's this kind of heightened reality of it.
Right.
But in my next documentary, I hope to kind of explore it a bit more.
What's your next one going to be about?
More the adult roles. I filled in more with white Canadians, because that's kind of how I grew up in Vancouver. So I was trying to, kind of.
This is kind of the world how you understand it.
Right. A little bit, yeah. That's all you can do, and that's your outlet. For me, that was always my outlet. Even if I got rejected, was to work on it some more. And
how did the rejections? Give me some ideas. You got letters?
Yeah, they just send you letters. It's very kind of impersonal. I should probably take off this next thing. Okay. But
we could talk and walk if you want.
It was. The rejection was tough, but it's also a motivating factor, I think, to try and make it better.
Right. Give me some, like, they wouldn't take phone calls from you and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, you call people, they don't really respond. You send in stuff, you don't hear back. That's kind of the worst part about it, right?
That's cool. All right.
Whether that's camera or casting or makeup or editing, whatever it is, just find your kind of niche in that, and then just keep working on your own stuff.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hang on, let's take a photo together. Would you say anything just quickly for just some of the kids in the area that are thinking of trying to get into film or television?
I would just say, stick with it, and I think find a craft, something that you can bring to the table as far as in film,